Do not pay another collection account until you watch this video. What's up, y'all? Tommy here. Today I'm gonna be breaking down exactly how to handle every collection account and why you should think twice about paying off any of the collection accounts you currently have on your credit report. By the end of this video, you'll have an exact framework, an exact blueprint that you can follow to be able to remove any type of collections that you might have on your report, and you'll know the exact process to do that. Now, before I actually jump into how you go about getting the taking care of any collection accounts, I wanted to start off first explaining how you actually end up with collection accounts on your credit report, right? How do debt collectors end up with old debts that you've had from other businesses, right? So the way debt collectors actually end up with your old debts, what happens is they actually end up purchasing it from the original creditor. So to give you an example, let's say that, for example, you had a Sprint bill, right? You're using Sprint and that's your carrier. So you have a cell phone bill through them and you haven't paid your bill in 6 months, 6 to 8 months. And so what typically is going to happen is Sprint's going to decide, you know what? We're not able to collect from this person. Johnny hasn't been paying his bills. So what we're going to do is, why don't we just try to get rid of this for as much money as we can get? Okay. So what they'll end up doing is they'll go out, they'll find a debt collection company and they'll sell that debt to the debt collection company. And so, for example, if your bill is $1,000, right? They'll sell that bill to the debt collection company for $200, right? So the debt collection company now has the $1,000. They have the right to collect the $1,000 that you owe Sprint, but they only pay $200 for it. So the way the debt collection company makes money is any amount they collect over the $200 is profit at that point, right? So they'll come to you and they'll try to collect the full $1,000 amount, but that's typically why they're always willing to negotiate and they're willing to go down lower to, let's say, for example, $500. Because even if they only collect half the amount that you really owe, they're still going to be able to make a profit since they bought the debt at pretty much pennies on the dollar from Sprint. Now, the issue that typically comes in is normally whenever they're getting all that information from Sprint and, they'll work with a bunch of different big companies and get a bunch of debt from them, right? And so typically what happens is they're not getting all the information about the debt, right? All the information that they need legally to be able to collect it from you. So normally what's happening is they might get, like, for example, a spreadsheet with all the information, right? With your name, your phone number, your address, the debt, or how much of the debt you owe, things like that. But they might not have the legal contract that you signed saying you're going to pay the debt. All these little bits of information, little things that they need by law, right? And so that's typically why whenever you first get on the phone with them, what they'll try to get you to do, as soon as they get a debt, first thing they're going to do is they're going to send you out mail, right? They're going to send you mail. And if you don't respond within 30 days, that's pretty much you admitting that you owe the debt because you haven't tried to contest it, right? You haven't sent any mail to them asking for proof. That's the first method. And at the same time, once they mail it out, they'll immediately start calling you, okay? And whenever they're on the phone with you, they're just trying to get you to say over a recorded line that that this debt is yours. And you accepting that the debt is yours. And even better, what they'll try to do is they'll even try to get you to make payments on the debt, because once you've made a payment on it, it's you at that point have admitted it's yours. You would never pay a debt that you didn't owe, right? So once they get you to actually make that initial payment, then they have now locked you in as admitting that the debt is yours, and they've actually done something else, right? They've actually now reset what's called the statute of limitation. Now, what the statute of limitations is that's the amount of time that they have to actually pursue legal action on a debt. So that means the amount of time that they have that they can actually sue you on a debt that you owe. So depending on what state you're in, it varies. For example, I've seen some states where it can be as low as 3-4 years, whereas others can be a lot higher, right? To give you an example, in Texas, it's 4 years. So if it's past the 4-year mark on a debt that I owe, then I can no longer be sued for that debt, right? So the debt collectors are going to try to find ways to get me to reactivate or reset the statute of limitations. So if I make a payment on the debt, right? Let's say it's a debt of $1,000, right? It's that $1,000 Sprint bill. If they say, just send in $20 and we can do $20 per month. when I send in that first $20 payment, I've now reset the statute of limitations. So technically, if they wanted to, they could now just sue me, take me to court, sue me. And then if they won in court, they could eventually be able to do what's called wage garnishment. So where they're able to, as soon as my paycheck gets into my bank account, they immediately get a cut of it. So that's why you always want to be careful when you're on the phone. Step one, never admit that the debt is yours. And step two, you want to make sure that you do not make you don't just make payments to a debt, because at the end of the day, even if you pay off that debt, you're still taking the pretty much the exact same hit on your credit report. Now, the final tip, and typically the only time I ever advise anybody to pay collections, is whenever you can do something called a pay per delete or pay for delete, right? And what that means is that you actually have you come to an agreement with the debt collectors, right? Let's go back to my the same example I've been using, right? Debt collector comes to me and says I owe them $1,000 for a Sprint bill, right? And after negotiating with them, we decide that if I pay $500, then they'll like, that's it, right? I pay $1,000 or $500 and they'll write off the other 500. So everything will be done, right? We'll be even. Now, what I want to make sure to ask them is if I can do a pay for delete, meaning if I pay them the $500, then they will actually remove it from my credit report. Okay. Now, what I typically, you'll always hear people say that you need to get it in writing. What I've done in the past is, and this depends on the laws in your state, I typically would just record the phone call. That way, if you get them verbally saying that over the phone, it's essentially a contract, right? They've legally said that that's the agreement that you guys came to, and by them breaking it, they're essentially breaking the law. Now, what I recommend is that you make sure once they have committed to that, if you're recording the call, then you're good. You can send the money. If not, then you ask them to send a letter, right? Ask them to send you a letter stating exactly what you guys talked about, that if you pay $500, like in the scenario, you pay the $500, then they will remove it from your credit report, and then you can make the payment. And the reason why I recommend this is the only time that you actually pay a collection is because if you pay a collection account and they don't remove it from your credit report, you are essentially pretty much in the same spot, right? Apart from whenever you're applying for like a mortgage, they will probably want you to pay off any collections, but collections still impact your score pretty much the same way whether they're paid or not, right? There's not much difference. Your best case scenario is to have them remove your collection account. So yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. By you just following those steps, you should be well on your way to getting into the 700 club and beyond, right? Once you can get into the 700s, around typically, I'd probably say between 720 to 750, depending on when you're watching this video. If you can get into that range of a credit score, you're typically going to be able to get the best rates for any type of mortgage, any car loans, things like that. Okay, so that's gonna be pretty much it for this video, guys. Make sure that you hit the like button on this video if you got any value from it. Be sure to subscribe to my channel so you don't miss any future videos. And if you have any questions or anything like that, or you have a topic that you want me to touch, throw it down in the comments down below, and I'll be happy to jump on those topics. Alrighty, so that's gonna be it for this video, guys. I'll catch you at the next one.